alliance could be on course to victory in Bihar. The Network 18 Axis pre-poll survey predicts a simple majority for the alliance. The BJP is falling short by over 30 seats. Baba Ramdev's Patanjali group all set to join hands with Kishore Biyani's future group tomorrow. Future outlets will exclusively sell Patanjali's products with annual revenues of 2,500 crore rupees. Patanjali is valued at a whopping 14,000 crore rupees. Relief for Vodafone. The Bombay High Court rules in favour of the company in the 8,500 crore rupee transfer pricing dispute. Coup after UK Sinha, the government receives over 50 applications for the SEBI top job. Former FMC chief Ramesh Abhishek, SEBI member Rajiv Agarwal, MS Sahu and Thomas Matthew are all the front runners. That's an exclusive.
Work is moving in the right direction. There will still be additions to NPAs, but I still think that these additions should be lower than what it was in the last year.
ICICI Bank CEO Chanda Kochhar says fresh additions to bad loans are falling, also vows to aggressively use the powers given by the Reserve Bank to convert loans to equity and dislodge defaulting promoters. That's another CNBC TV 18 exclusive. The six-day winning streak is snapped on the Lal Street. Sensex falls below 27,000. Global equities remain in a tight lead. Crude prices rally over 1%. The Rajasthan government seeks more royalty from cane. India says a 15% royalty is paltry. Sources say both sides are renegotiating the production sharing contract. That's another exclusive tonight. Reliance Communications and MTS have completed the due diligence to merge their operations. Sources say both the boards will meet early next month to take a final decision. That's another exclusive. More than 3 weeks after a man was murdered over beef rumours in Dadri, the Prime Minister speaks out, calls for an end to communal politics and tells people to ignore hate speeches from politicians. And on our special series, What's Ailing Rural India, farmers in Marathwada claim the interest waiver scheme is only on paper as they are tangled in a debt maze.
We have women pilots flying transport aircraft and helicopters. We are now planning to induct them into the fighter stream to meet the aspirations of young women in India.
Well, nearly 70 years after India became an independent country, women can finally take to the skies. On the 83rd Air Force Day, the Air Chief Marshal Arup Rao has announced that women will soon be allowed to fly fighter jets. Better late than never. And I saw my father fly fighter jets for his entire career, and I really wish that, I would have been a lot younger so that I would have had the opportunity to fly one as well.
Better late than never, but I think we missed that sport.
Well, let's go straight down to the top stories, and there is plenty that we have for you on this action-packed edition of India Business Hour. Straight to the action on the Lal Street. The six-day rally has come to an end on the Lal Street. A day of profit booking, which took centre stage as select index heavyweights led the decline. So the Sensex down nearly 200 points, slipping below the 27,000 mark. The Nifty lost about 40 points, and it's moving closer to 8,100. The mid-caps were not spared either. The mid-cap index lost by about 0.5% or so. So let's see if the markets get their momentum back, or we see another day of correction on the Lal Street tomorrow. But a quick check of the currency market, where the rupee is back above the 65 to the dollar mark. This after the currency closed at 64.98 to the dollar at a 7-week high. But on to the big story tonight. It is the battle for Bihar, and a lot is at stake for all the prominent parties in the fray. The BJP, who's just got a jolt in the Delhi Assembly polls, is leaving no stone unturned in its bid to seize power in the eastern state, and has brought in its star campaigner, the Prime Minister himself, carpet bombing Bihar with rallies. Modi addressed a gathering in Munger today and launched a fresh salvo against the BJP, and even broke his silence on the controversial beef ban and called for an end to communal politics.
खुद नरेंद्र मोदी कहता है अगर उसके भी बात मत सुनिए। अगर सुनना है तो कल हमारे देश के राष्ट्रपति श्रद्धेय प्रणब मुखर्जी दादा ने जो भाषण किया है और देश को जो संदेश दिया है, उससे बड़ा कोई मार्गदर्शन नहीं हो सकता है। हम सभी देशवासी, 125 करोड़ देशवासी, भारत के सबसे बड़ा मुखिया राष्ट्रपति जी ने जो कहा है, उससे बड़ा कोई विचार नहीं हो सकता, उससे बड़ी कोई दिशा नहीं हो सकती, उससे बड़ी कोई प्रेरणा नहीं हो सकती। मैं देशवासियों से यही कहूंगा कि राजनीति का स्वार्थ सीधा करने के तरीके बंद होने चाहिए।
Well, that's the Prime Minister speaking in Bihar, and who's winning the battle for that crucial state. Tonight we bring you an exhaustive pre-poll survey conducted by Network 18 and Axis. The survey shows that the BJP could be heading for a defeat after Delhi in Bihar as well. The JDU and the Grand Alliance are projected to win 137 seats. This is well above the 122 mark required, and the BJP is falling short by nearly 30 seats. Now, the Grand Alliance is winning among all age groups, and this is the surprising thing, because people were assuming that the Modi factor would draw in the young voters, but even the young voters who overwhelmingly voted for the BJP in the parliament elections seem to be giving Nitish Kumar a chance. Nitish Kumar is the top choice for preferred chief minister. Sushil Modi of the BJP comes next, with Lalu Prasad Yadav and Jitin Ram Manjhi getting just single-digit figures. Now, amidst all the talk about beef and cow slaughter, the voters don't seem to care. Development is the top priority for the voter in Bihar. Inflation and other issues like electricity, water and roads is what they will be voting for according to the survey. So was it a good move by Nitish to patch up with Lalu Prasad Yadav? Let's take a look at the numbers. 42% say yes, the Grand Alliance with Lalu Prasad Yadav was a good idea, but another, that's 39%, say it was not the right move. So it isn't an overwhelming vote in favor of the Lalu-Nitish combine. Finally, whose development model do the people of Bihar prefer? Nitish Kumar has managed to edge Narendra Modi out, with most voters preferring Nitish Kumar's development model. Remember, the voter in Bihar has had experience with Nitish Kumar's model in Bihar. Bihar did develop quite significantly. In fact, growth rates coming in higher than the national average under Nitish Kumar, and that is what perhaps the voters are going by. They haven't experienced the Narendra Modi model of development, but that is what the survey is showing up. Remember, it is not a done deal by a long shot. This is a 5-phase election. The first phase starts on the 12th and it will go on till the first week of November. So it is not a done deal, but at least at this point in time, the first pre-poll survey, a comprehensive survey, seems to suggest that Nitish Kumar and the Grand Alliance have the edge in the state of Bihar. And that was the question that I put to Rajasthan's Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje Scindia, and asked her whether the BJP was upbeat about the prospects of the party in Bihar. Speaking to me yesterday, Raje said that a lot has changed since the crushing defeat in Delhi Assembly elections, and the worry that even if the electoral result in Bihar was not to go in favor of the BJP, that reform and the development agenda would be hijacked, would be unfounded. Listen in. Do you think the development agenda that the Prime Minister spoke of when he came to office will perhaps be dictated by the electoral result in Bihar? If it doesn't go the way of the BJP.
See, that's the mindset.
Then I'm asking the question.
That's a general mindset, that everything has to be dictated by what happens in this or that election. And I think that for the first time we've had a Prime Minister who has decided that it's the fate of the country that is the most important. And therefore we have to take the steps that we think are important. And cooperative federalism, in the manner in which it's been put before us, has given all the states the freedom and the ability and the passion to move the way we're doing now. Why didn't we see this that you just talked about? Every state wanting to invite people, bring in investors, make their state the most important and interesting place to be in. Why didn't this happen before? So obviously the things that are being done at the center are creating that kind of interest.
As Vasundhara Raje is saying, you know, it's not, doesn't mean that Narendra Modi is getting voted out by the country just in case the vote doesn't come in favor in Bihar. And that's, of course, the big poll finding today on Network 18 has been Nitish Kumar, Lalu Prasad Yadav, that seems to be edging out the BJP as of now. Yoga guru Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurveda is all set to forge an exclusive tie with Biyani's future group, a move that's expected to translate into 1,000 to 1,500 crore rupees in revenues over the next 2 years. Sajit Mangat and Arundhati Ramanan get to the details.
Ayurveda is not just good for health, it's good for business. That's the philosophy retail king Kishore Biyani seems to believe in. His future group will announce an exclusive tie-up with Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurveda for the sale of consumer products through its distribution network. That's future retail and future consumer enterprise. The partnership, sources say, will add 1 crore customers to the future group's customer base and will see Patanjali's products, which range from problem solutions to personal care, home care and even packaged foods, being placed on shelves in all future outlets, including Nilgiri's, Food Bazaar, Food Hall and Big Bazaar. This will give Patanjali the greater reach it has been looking for to meet its 5,000 to 10,000 crore rupee annual revenue target in the next few years. Remember, the 8-year-old company has already crossed the 2,000 crore rupee revenue mark in FY15, surpassing established players like Jyoti Labs and Imami. Experts say this partnership will give a boost to Patanjali's new products pipeline, which ranges from malted foods to instant noodles to oral care. Surprisingly, while Patanjali was set up by Baba Ramdev, it is not owned by him. His close aide, Acharya Balakrishna, reportedly holds a 92% stake and the remaining 8% is held by Scottish NRI couple Sarwan and Sunita Podar. The partnership with Biyani will significantly ramp up product presence from the current 15,000 retail outlets, which range in size from 500 to 1,500 square feet, of which nearly 5,000 outlets are franchises. Patanjali is also working on expanding its online points of sale beyond just its own website, Amazon. All this, however, will mean a sizable investment in advertising and promotion, and work on this aspect is already underway. The company has appointed McCann and Mudra to spearhead this exercise as it looks to the next wave of expansion. In Mumbai with Sajit Mangat, Arundhati Ramanan.
Well, watch out for that announcement. Future Group joins up with Baba Ramdev, and all of those stocks excited on the prospect of that joint venture. Future Retail was higher by about 3%, and Future Enterprise, that was the other buzzing stock. So watch out for that big announcement that comes in tomorrow. Now, it's major for telecom giant Vodafone. It has got some relief from the Bombay High Court. It's ruled in favor of the company in an 8,500 crore rupee transfer pricing dispute. The case pertains to 2 transfer pricing demands raised by the tax department. The first one was connected to the transfer of option rights from a Vodafone India affiliate to a Vodafone Mauritius affiliate, and this was deemed by the tax department as an international transaction and made a transfer pricing adjustment. The second one pertains to transfer of call centers between Hutch and Vodafone affiliates. Both demands together amount to 8,500 crore rupees, but the taxman has not succeeded in convincing the High Court. CNBC TV 18's Naveen Shetty spoke with the Vodafone Council on what the victory in the Bombay High Court means.
Well, we welcome the verdict. Clearly, this is an affirmation of the fact that a put option exercise, which was brought into challenge by the tax department, as far as ostensible exigibility tax, has effectively been quashed. The Bombay High Court appears, from what we have just heard, to have pronounced a judgment upholding the stance of the assessee on the basis that these are matters that were already adjudicated upon by the Supreme Court itself back in the year 2012, and therefore, very clearly, that would not be open to be rehashed. And as a consequence, the Bombay High Court has also declined to get into the question of valuations around the put options, which was also a matter that was substantively argued by the tax department before the Bombay High Court. So that's on the put option section of what is today's verdict. And then there was the matter of the sale of business center, so of the call center, and very clearly on that too, the Bombay High Court has essentially upheld the stance of the assessee with regard to obviously the fact that there is no exigibility tax on that transaction either. So certainly a very welcome verdict from an investor standpoint, from a Vodafone standpoint, and from a legal fraternity standpoint, I would say.
That's the Vodafone Council over there, saying it's of course the tax department's discretion if they decide to appeal at the Supreme Court for citing an earlier verdict of the Bombay High Court, which they did not appeal against. Here's the CNBC TV 18 exclusive. The SEBI chairman UK Sinha's term ends next year in February, and the search for his successor has already begun. CNBC TV 18 learns the government has been flooded with applicants who want to occupy that corner office at SEBI Bhavan. Sapna Das are joining us with that exclusive story. Sapna, do we know how many applications have come in and who the leading contenders might be?
That's right. Around 50 applicants have already thrown in their hat in the ring for this for this hunt for the new SEBI chairman. And among the interesting names which are doing the rounds right now, or rather some of the serious applicants are Mr. Ramesh Abhishek, former chairman of the Farmers Market Commission. You have Rajiv Agarwal, member SEBI. You have Mr. M. Sahu. He has just a couple of months back he had submitted the report of liberalization of the external commercial borrowings. ECB policy to the government. Apart from that, of course, Mr. Thomas Matthew, former Joint Secretary of the Capital Markets under Mr. Pranab Mukherjee when he was the Finance Minister. We also learned that, very interesting, some current serving secretaries have also applied for this new vista. But the important point here is that the search panel that is headed by the Cabinet Secretary also has Secretary DA Mr. Shaktikanta Das and Secretary DFS Anjali Dugalchib as permanent members of the panel. They have the discretion to call candidates also who have not applied so far. So at the end of the process, it really remains to be seen who actually makes it as the new SEBI chairman next year.
All right, Sapna, appreciate you joining us. So some of the contenders there for the SEBI chief's position, and that includes the former Joint Secretary of the Capital Markets, Thomas Matthew, and of course the former FMC chief, Ramesh Abhishek. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. We will track that developing story. On to the big exclusive interview tonight. We will use the power given to us to convert loans to equity and dislodge defaulting promoters. That's the word coming in from Chanda Kocher, the Managing Director and CEO of ICICI Bank, speaking to CNBC TV 18's Lata Venkatesh. Kocher began by saying that ICICI Bank's lending rates are poised to fall much more in the next few months as the previous cuts in deposit rates reduce the cost of funds. Listen in.
I think the lending rates would come down even further, irrespective of the repo rate change, because the deposit rates have continued to go down, and as that impact gets translated, and it will get translated more and more in the cost of funds, base rates will come down even more.
I have some data from a brokerage which has calculated the amount of people who have not paid from 60 to 90 days. That is what we technically call SMA2. That was 2.8% of your loans in FY14. Now it has risen to 5.7%. So it's a substantial increase that people are not paying you till the 90th day. Therefore, do you think there is still one more quarter? Has this 5.7% come down at least?
So, since these are numbers from the brokerages, I won't really put our numbers vis-a-vis that. At the same time, we also believe that some of the cash flows would get realized either because of sale of assets that people have progressed with and so on. So, I think fairly every bank is kind of monitoring the assets.
Yes.
Fairly, we all know what direction each one of these companies, projects or groups are moving, and keeping all that into account only, we do feel that the additions this year should not be higher than the last year. If at all, they should be lower.
There are a lot of companies which are already default grade with the rating agencies. I mean, GMR, GVK, Lanco, JP. JP went into default recently, but they're all standard assets with you. Why is there this discrepancy?
Also because that, in any public instrument or otherwise, even if there's one-day default, in terms of credit rating agencies, they do turn D. Whereas as far as banks are concerned, there is this little bit of curing period. On day one, you don't make them NPA.
Yeah, you have 90.
Yes. So I think that's really one big difference.
To what extent have you been able to use the SDR or will be able to use the strategic debt restructuring?
Absolutely. I think, this is a very good tool and we would be and we are using it, very effectively. First, actually, let me take a step back. That even if we may not call some of the actions as SDR, but we've clearly been working with promoters to sell their assets. And as I said, in many cases, it is not just non-core assets. It's core assets that have been sold. And they have been sold only because we have done almost something like an SDR, without calling it an SDR, but actually clearly brought about a change in management when those assets have been sold to another management. Similarly, even under the formal structure of SDR, we would be taking steps. We are already as we speak, going through some of them, and you will definitely see more and more action.
Listing of the insurance wing, do we see it in this fiscal or definitely the next fiscal?
Clearly we would do some monetizing on at least one of the insurance companies, whether it's listing, whether it's an additional investor or whatever. In that sense, we've not fully made up our mind, but some monetization for sure.
This year itself.
I should say at least if March is an artificial cutoff, but yes, within 12 months for sure.
Well, they've been looking at that possibility for a while, but that's Chanda Kochhar saying that they could monetize the insurance business over the next 12 months. But on to another exclusive tonight. It's not just the central government that's gunning for a higher tax payout from Kane India and its erstwhile promoter Kane PLC. Sources also tell us that the Rajasthan government is looking at a higher royalty payout from the refinery for its Barmer oil block. Nantara, what is the state government's argument? And of course, both the centre and the state want more from Kane.
That's just a quick clarification. There is no refinery. That's right now. That still has to be set up by HPCL. But right now, what the situation is, a production sharing contract at that Barmer oil field expires in May 2020. So it certainly seems everyone is trying to extract a better deal from Kane India ahead of that. What Kane India wants is a 10-year extension of that production sharing contract. So you have the centre which is saying we'll extend it, but the financial terms have to be agreed upon again. So the centre has anyway been saying it wants a higher share of the profit petroleum, which is currently at 40%. That may go up all the way to 50%. Coming to the state of Rajasthan, we understand from our sources now that that is the new party to enter the negotiations. It's unsatisfied with what it's earning from this prolific Barmer oil fields, where you have seen production touching almost 200,000 barrels a day. The Rajasthan government believes it got in FY15 3,100 crore rupees, which is of course in the annual report also of Kane India, but that this sum is quote-unquote paltry compared to what the centre exchequer got. That's 19,000 crore rupees in profit petroleum as well as cess. The problem, Shireen, is that this royalty rate of 15% is decided by the centre and it's uniform across the country. So is the centre going to give one rate to Rajasthan and the others to another state? Very unlikely. So then the next question is, are we going to see other kind of taxes, other kind of levies on Kane India to get that NOC from the Rajasthan government so that its production sharing contract could be extended? And as a parting note, I think this is perhaps the last thing Kane India needed, Shireen. It's battling a 20,000 crore rupee tax dispute. The crude prices are crashing, and there's of course the impending merger with Vedanta as well.
Well, absolutely. But I can tell you for certain that the Rajasthan government is in no mood to accept anything but a higher terms or a renegotiated settlement there as far as Kane is concerned. But on to another CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Reliance Communications and Sistema Sham Teleservices, which runs under the brand MTS, have completed the due diligence for a possible merger of their operations. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 the boards of two companies will meet early next month to finalize the merger. Kritika, who broke that story with us now with the details. Kritika, MTS and Reliance Communications, what are you picking up?
Well, we already know that the deal will be done through a swap ratio. The conversations have been on for quite some time, and I understand that the due diligence from Arcom side has been completed. They are in the final stages. In fact, Anil Ambani had reiterated that the MTS-Arcom merger will make sense for Arcom's future plans in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, in terms of the contours, I do understand that the boards of both the companies are likely to meet by either end of this month or beginning of next month to be able to finalize the details, and that's when we can see a formal term sheet being signed. I understand in terms of the valuation, the discussions are still going on, but net, it's slightly unclear whether Arcom will be taking MTS's debt, but what I do understand is that the board of both the companies will be overhauled. So what will happen is that MTS, Sistema Group and Russian government together will hold below 10%, and 10% is the maximum threshold. They'll probably hold up to just about 8% in the merged entity. Now, the merged entity entity, once the merger is completed, will have either most probably just one board member which is representing this entire consortium. And what I understand is that nonetheless the entire MTS management will be overhauled. So as a result of the fact that RCOM will be the controlling shareholder, I understand that MTS's entire management will be changed and RCOM will be the one driving most of the operations. It's a bit of a question mark as to what will happen with respect to the brand of MTS, but for now I understand that both the companies are waiting for the final notifications with respect to the spectrum trading guidelines, and once the fine print is in, they'll probably go ahead and have that much awaited board meeting. So a month and hopefully we should have some more clarity.
It's not unseasonal rains, it's not the scarcity of water or too much heat. It's an attack of white fly and other diseases like the leaf curve virus on cotton crop that have led to a massive damage across northern India, especially in Punjab. And spurious pesticides have only complicated matters, with more than 50% of the total yield being destroyed across Punjab and Haryana.
And from Punjab to Maharashtra, the centre and the state government have announced multiple relief programs for farmers to ease their mounting debt burden. However, CNBC TV 18's Archana Shukla finds out a strikingly different picture on ground as she travels to the Latur district in Marathwada, where farmers are under immense pressure to repay their loans.
25-year-old Yogita Bhand has little to look forward to. Her husband, 27-year-old Suresh Bhand, hanged himself last month as he was not able to repay a cumulative loan of 5.5 lakh rupees. But Yogita says this inability was not the straw that broke the camel's back.
वो आकर कह रहे थे हम अपने घर को कुलूप लगाएंगे शेती पर वो 2-3 बार वारंट बनाया हमने नोटिस बनाया.
Suresh was just one of 41 farmers in Tehsil Paitan in district Aurangabad to have committed suicide in the last 8 months. And in almost every case, failed crops and inability to pay loans is being blamed.
हमारे भाई में सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, सिद्धेश्वर अर्बन, धनलक्ष्मी और फिर महिंद्रा फाइनेंस, कुल मिला के 5-6 लाख.
पर सरकार ने ये कहा था कि जो आपका इंटरेस्ट होता है, जो ब्याज होता है लोन पे, वो माफ किया जाएगा इस बार के सीजन में, क्योंकि इस बार भी बारिश ज्यादा हुई नहीं है. बैंक ने बोली है कि आपका ब्याज माफ करेंगे.
जो सरकार बोलती है कि वो इंटरेस्ट माफ कर देंगी, लेकिन ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं. बैंक बोलती है हमारे पास कोई लिखी जवाब नहीं, तुम्हारे पास है क्या?
More than 40-50 people in this village who have loans with several banks, both nationalized as well as private financiers, have been receiving notices as well as warrants from the banks so that they repay the loans that they have. This is quite contrary to what the government had been saying, that farmers will not be pressurized to pay loans. Many of the farmers who we otherwise spoke to were quite reluctant to come and speak on camera because they were scared and reluctant that the banks will possibly not give them loans in future or would take more coercive action.
It's a valid worry. These farmers are mainly engaged in cultivating sweet lime, pomegranate and cotton and have been accumulating loans since 2008. That's because sweet lime, for instance, requires 6 years to reach its peak. And with this region being hit by a drought for the last 3 years, the prognosis is not good, despite the state government's efforts. In December last year, the Maharashtra government ordered banks to not attempt loan recovery from farmers in drought-hit areas. It also opened up its coffers, spending 3,330 crore rupees in farmer aid. This includes 60 crores on interest waivers and 170 crores for restructuring of farm loans. In addition, the state's latest drought relief plan calls for full waiver of interest on farmer loans in the region. But farmers say the state's directives to banks and lenders are not being followed and not all the relief money is flowing through.
Help as far as loan recovery or at least waiver of the loan interest amount is concerned, at least that's not happening in this district. With camera person Swapnil Bandekar, this is Archana Shukla in Tehsil Paitan.
The dead disaster there in Latur in the Marathwada region, and Archana will be back tomorrow with another edition of What's Ailing Rural India.